all that intro.
Welcome, everyone. I am Nathan. He is Raymond. And we are the Super Infodump Brothers from another mother.
And we are back again with our not so special anymore because he's here like every 6 months, Joseph Holmes!
That is always my goal.
But
so integrated into a place that I'm not special anymore.
At this point, he's just a third forgotten middle brother. That's what he is.
Honestly, like, at this point, I'm like changing everything to say our regular guest. Like, I'll also have to add our regular and only guest.
The best darn guest we ever had.
You should get other guests. I do recommend this. Like, having guests is fun.
Joseph, I've tried. People don't want to be here.
Ouch.
You're the only person that has said yes multiple times.
But I gotta say, I love being on your guys' show because this is the only place that gives me an excuse to, like, talk about my most, 8-year-old nerdy stuff. Like, I can, on Religion Unplugged, I can go super, like, religion nerdy, and Overthinkers, I can do, like, culture and philosophy nerdy, and this is the only place where I can spend 3 hours talking about Steven Universe, Supergirl, and my adventures with Superman. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We are glad to be that space for you. This is a safe space for nerds.
We love it when you talk nerdy to us. Yeah,
we love it. Like, I think that is why people don't want to join, because they're not ready to talk nerdy.
It's an acquired taste. You gotta ease into it. You gotta talk nerdy responsibly.
You'll find them. They can talk nerdy irresponsibly on your podcast too. I mean, again, we're not super responsible here. Yeah.
Look, I'll even censor someone if they're not.
Oh yeah, I will say all of the words on here. I'll say I'll say muty. I'll say everything that you're not allowed to say anymore in America.
Just love the idea of randomly just like bleeping out random nerdy words. It's like, my favorite X-Men is
no. Okay. We are here today to discuss something incredibly serious. The future of the James Gunn universe. The Supergirl. Let's see what, because, like, right off the bat.
Also, spoilers, because we always forget to do that until the very end.
Thank you very much. Finally, we did it. In the first 4 minutes. We did it, Nathan.
We've only, been enculturated on the internet etiquette, like, since, our teens. We finally are saying, oh yeah, spoilers, everyone.
I just get too excited about the nerdy stuff, like, I gotta. No,
all 11 of our listeners are going to be so upset with us.
Oh, come on.
Let them come.
We have 20. Come on. No, but okay, so Supergirl 2026 just came out like a month ago, and we are right here to discuss it because we kind of have different like views right now. We have me as someone who, like, actually legitimately enjoyed the movie and I thought it was beautiful. We have Joseph, who did not like the movie, but I'm pretty sure he'll find at least some positive stuff to talk about, because that's just the kind of guy he is. And Nathan over here, who is always as always in the middle. So let's put him literally in the middle for today.
Just call me Switzerland.
Nice.
No, call me Swiss chocolate.
Don't call him Swiss chocolate.
But starting off, just like, I think this movie is like pretty simple to like summarize. We don't have to like go through all the stuff. It's just literally it's Supergirl's birthday. She's getting drunk in different planets that have red suns. like a little girl loses her family to some
Band-
woman trafficking
yeah.
evil dude, because he like kills her parents and stuff like that. Then she goes on and wants to get revenge. She's trying to find like a mercenary or something in a bar to help her out, and happens to run into Supergirl. Now she like Supergirl helps her because like a little bar fight happens. Supergirl intervenes because she's the hero or whatever. The girl is like, "You need to help me." She's like, "I don't want to help you." And then the story forces Supergirl to help when her dog gets involved as well, because the bad guy shows up, shoots her dog with a tranquilizer poison thing, and then she has to go get the antidote. So because this dude steals their ship, she has to now find another way to get to him. They go in, like, try to find him in different places. They use a bus to get there, like a little space bus. Um, they get to another planet where they say the guy is at. They find the guy. The guy beats them. He wins. They leave again. Apparently, they go to a place where a green sun exists, and the green and yellow, and one makes her bad, one makes her good. That was a little
Lobo
bit.
shows up along the way.
The Lobo is in like 3 scenes, and he's like pivotal to 2 different occasions. Yeah, so she goes to this planet where she's weak. The girl needs to go and do it by herself, basically, try to defeat him. Lobo helps her, basically, a little bit. And then Supergirl gets better. She has an inspirational moment, goes and saves the girl. And then, at the end, does like a whole superhero thing of like beating all the bad guys, all this stuff. Lobo's like, "You should let her kill the dude." She's like, "I don't want to let her kill the dude." And at the end, the girl is about to kill the dude, and she's like, "No, don't do it. You don't want to do this." She leaves, and
Then
she's
she's like,
like,
"Ruthie, look over there." Where? Then Kara kills him instead.
"Yeah, exactly." And like she goes like, "This is for my dog, and this is for what you did to that little girl." Stabs him, dead. And pretty interesting that it was with a sword. But yeah, I was thinking,
Supergirl and the girl bond, and then Supergirl goes back home and is with Superman, and it's like, "I'm okay now. We can."
yes, exactly. We have like a little reunion with Supergirl and her cousin, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it.
And Crypto gets into the chocolate, because apparently chocolate's even bad for space dogs.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I was a bit confused by that.
I do like how Hollywood has decided that the way to tug at a audience's heartstrings every single time is to use a dog.
Oh, yeah.
With John Wick, Superman, Supergirl, and of course now the Odyssey, which I just saw, which is like, okay, that's the moment we want to make it cry. We're gonna hurt a dog. So that's
old as time. That's like really the case. Like if there's an animal threatened, especially a dog, people will care about it. And if you want to show how bad the character is, have them threaten a dog.
Yeah,
like
it's
you see a little bit of JoJo. That's what happened with Dio showing up. The first time he shows up, he kicks a dog. Sorry.
That's true. That's true. Kicking puppies is like the thing of like how you know somebody's a bad person. It's true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like truly evil just to kick a dog. Yeah, like I think that is fascinating to think about, like a little bit, because it's like, to me, there's a lot of factors, right? But it's like, I think there is definitely like a desensitized. We're desensitized to like human suffering,
human death,
in film and in media, but like we're still we as humans, we still have like a sense of like protecting something that's weaker and like innocent. So it's like we think about dog.
Yeah, I think we have an idea that there's a lot of reasons people could have to kill a person that we can understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
but killing a dog seems purposeless. There's actually like a movie I just watched, actually called In the Hand of Dante, where they like this guy witnesses a gangster killing a bunch of people, And it's a great line in a scene because he didn't know that this was going to happen. He's just kind of in shell shock, and then they're just in silence for ages. And finally, he says, "Why did you kill the dog?" And the guy explains, "Well, dogs bark, and I didn't want to." But like the whole thing is like, okay, other people could talk, and you don't want them to talk. So it's like, okay, you understand why. But when the person kills a dog, you know they're evil because there's no good reason to do it.
It's pure pettiness.
And
pure
I think
chaos.
What I do think it's fascinating to me is the fact that like we have to now like also do it for superheroes and stuff like that. I find that interesting. It's just a bit interesting.
Yeah, no, it's a Hollywood trend, and that's made its way into the superhero genre, and that's an interesting thing to note. But so yeah, like, so this is funny because again, what people don't know is not only do we do these videos, but we do communicate in real life as well. And by real life, I mean on Instagram. We have an Instagram thread.
Surprise, surprise, we're friends.
So whenever there's like a new nerdy thing that's, comes out, like in My Adventures of Superman episode or like Supergirl, we will talk about it together. And one of the fun things about this episode that came about is, first of all, I have to say, we do this regularly where we just say, okay, here are the movies coming out that Joseph is going to be a guest in. And the ones that we all agreed on were, okay, it's My Adventures of Superman, Supergirl, and
Acme, Coyote versus Acme.
Yes, Coyote versus Acme. Yes, we're going to do those. And then, but the other thing is, when the Supergirl movie came out, what was so hilarious about this is it was one of the first things that we talked about where it was so violently disagreed with each other. I came out of this movie, and I kid you not, I was instantly said, this is maybe the worst movie I have seen this year. Certainly the worst Hollywood movie I've seen this year. It's probably not. It's not as bad as some of the faith-based movies that I've had to watch for work, but it may certainly probably the worst Hollywood film to see this year. And then, I'd say that to on the Instagram. Then Ray sees the movie and he's like, "That was amazing. It was beautiful. I don't know what you're talking about, Joseph." And my instant thought, as someone who's been a content creator for now like 6 years at least, was, oh my gosh, this is going to make great content. Because we have a genuine disagreement. So I'm really interested in this discussion, having a discussion about the, merits or lack thereof of the movie and why we disagree on this. But then also, as you alluded to, Ray, I'm interested in the discussion about what this means for the future of James Gunn's DCU, because this was framed as a relaunch,
this was like the make it or break it of this. And I'm a little bit worried about Clayface because I'm like, that looks incredible, that looks interesting, but is it gonna be as divisive as this movie?
And the thing is, even if people like that movie, it's still not. People don't associate it with James Gunn's universe. It feels like its own thing. It feels like, oh yeah, it's a Batman villain, R-rated thing like that. James Gunn's Superman was. It's hard to say it was divisive. There was nobody that I know besides the terminally online who hated it. But for a lot of people, they either really liked it or they were like, okay, it's fine, but the level of kind of like relaunch of like everybody being really excited about it and essentially relaunching DC and giving it what, Marvel has always had didn't quite happen. So people were kind of waiting. It's like, okay, can Supergirl succeed was kind of the next question. And, certainly most people, critics and audiences, seem to be on my side with this. And so kind of like the first part of our discussion can be like arguing about the merits of the film, but I'm interested in the second part of the discussion being, okay, like, what does this mean going forward, and kind of more of a speculative analytical side of it. But anyway, regardless, kind of take it. How would you like to start us off, Ray?
Yeah, who wants to present their side first, I suppose?
I kind of wanted to hear your thoughts, because for me, at least, like algorithm is really interesting because it shows you what you believe. Like it truly shows you what you think of something. But like I like to think that I've infected Nathan's algorithm a little bit because he sometimes sends me the same stuff that I'm watching. So
Part of
like,
it's stuff that Joe sends me that I just send to you, or vice versa. A lot of it's just me recycling stuff my friends sent. So my algorithm is all my friends' algorithm.
But the thing I've seen a lot, right, to me, is that I've seen a lot of positive reviews about Supergirl. Like, it is very much the most negative reviews I've heard, at least like online, like on Instagram, TikTok, are like from like sexist dudes that like being like complete idiots about like Supergirl, like, and how she looks, like her like being not pretty enough and crap like that. So it's like,
which is garbage. She's one of the most gorgeous actresses working today, I think. But that's garbage.
She's not only beautiful, she like killed it in this role. Like whether or not this the story itself and the writing was not like good, and the directing definitely like was good or not. Like, she did such a great job playing Supergirl.
Yeah, casting was no critiques here about the actress or the character. Like, if we didn't care about Supergirl, we would not be here.
I will give this. I'll say this. Aside from maybe the villain, but I attribute more the writing as the problem with the villain more than anything else. I have zero complaints about the casting in this movie at all.
Agreed.
I mean, super. What's the Supergirl actress's name again? Gosh, like, blanking. Somebody have Google open.
I forget.
Miley Atlock?
Cyrus, no.
It is. All right, so gonna have to do it live.
I'll have it. I'll get it.
But anyway, and then Jason Momoa as Lobo.
Millie Alcock.
Millie Alcock.
Yeah,
she's amazing. Again, amazing in House of the Dragon. Amazing everything she does, and then she nails this. I love. As soon as I saw her in Superman, I was like, "This is Supergirl. This is perfect." And of course Jason Momoa as Lobo, inspired casting. Again, the first scene with him, I wasn't crazy about how he was written, but after that, it just so again, all the acting performances I think are great. And so that to me is partly what makes me excited going forward. Is like, okay, if Supergirl and hopefully Lobo are in the next movie, then seeing them written by James Gunn, I'd be very excited to see. But yeah, so again,
that's another thing that. Yeah, sorry. Like I just wanted to finish that thought before you start, because it's like, and the other half of the people I've seen on all the stuff have been like giving like praise to the movie. A lot of like fans of the comic book are saying that it's incredible, it's a great adaptation, they really like it and stuff like that. And the only complaint I've heard from comic book lovers is that they wish they would stick with the perspective of the girl as the like main focus of the movie. Like that would have made the movie even better. I think that, and that being said, I think Nathan said it, and I think you alluded to it right now, but I think like one of the main weirdest thing about this movie is that it feels like it was trying to be written by James Gunn, but it was not written by James Gunn. And it feels like very much like trying
James Gunn light.
Yeah, trying to, and also the director kind of did the same thing where he was trying to kind of like have the James Gunn vibe, but he's not James Gunn. So it's like, it is definitely like, and that's such a hard thing to...
Which is weird because, again, I don't know if you guys saw I, Tonya, but this director directed I, Tonya, and that was also kind of this dark comedy, dark comedy kind of anti-hero female protagonist story that had its own style that was separate from James Gunn, but was still doing that kind of thing. So I was kind of surprised that they didn't just let him lean into that style of it, rather than try to kind of copy James Gunn. But that's a whole other thing. So I'm going to try to make this, kind of do this in some layers. So first, like I said, very excited about this interpretation of Supergirl ever since James Gunn introduced it in Superman. What I like, and I'm going to actually go out a little bit bigger here because it's funny, because I know we said we're not going to talk about My Adventures to Superman on here because we're going to do another episode about that. But
we are going to make comparisons. Yeah, we're going to.
Because what's interesting is that, we have these two versions of Supergirl coming in at the same time. My Adventures to Superman, where you're getting to develop more of Kara's personality now that she's not under the control of Brainiac. So you're getting to see them establish this anime version of Superman, establish this version of Supergirl and who she is. At the same time, you're getting to see the first, Supergirl movie in a very long time. Certainly the first Supergirl movie within this new James Gunn DC universe. So you have both of these versions of Supergirl being established in the public mind for this new generation for the first time. And these are very different interpretations of Supergirl. And I think one of the things I also want to get your guys' take on which one you like best, which is an interesting idea. But one of the things I think is interesting is, even though they're both very different, both of them, in my mind, understand the assignment, so to speak, which is that first and foremost, Supergirl has to work as a member of Superman's supporting cast. Because even if we say, hey, I love the fact she got her own movie, but one of the problems with the CW version of Supergirl, and a lot of iterations of Supergirl, has been, it's just Supergirl, but with, 2 X chromosomes. Again, her personality...
It's Superman.
It's Superman, but girl. Yeah. Superman, but girl.
Yeah.
There's no difference between their personalities. There's no way that they could be good foils for each other. And that's just boring. It would be as if Robin was just a little version of Batman. There's nothing for them to bounce off of each other for. And, Superman's other supporting cast members, like Lois, like Jimmy, like Lex Luthor, like Perry, have all been built to say, here's how these characters are different from Superman, and they bring out a different side of who he is. My Adventures in Superman has been especially great at this. And what I like about both of these versions of Supergirl is both of them intentionally are built around bringing out a different side of him. The My Adventures in Superman one is built around emphasizing Superman's humanity by showing a version of her that's more alien. She's Starfire from the Teen Titans. She's, she's like, literally. She's a fish out of water. She's she's like, what's all this weird Earth stuff? And so that emphasizes Superman's humanity. Now, this version,
she also.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say she also reminds me of the New 52, like raised by Darkseid kind of Supergirl, which is like very.
It emphasizes Superman's kind of kindness by having the warlike, Supergirl. So that's very intentionally making her foil there. In the James Gunn version of Supergirl, it's focusing on trauma. Trauma is the big aspect of it. And it's saying Superman has one response to trauma, and Supergirl has a different response to trauma, and that becomes the contrast of them. And it's partly different upbringings. Like Superman doesn't remember his trauma, and she does. But the contrast and foil between these two characters is you have someone Superman who has a kind of sunny disposition to life, and somebody with Supergirl who has a cynical disposition to life, but not the kind of cynicism that Lois Lane has. It's more of a debilitating kind of cynicism. That's
it's more like inward focus, while Lois is a bit more external, I guess.
I think she's also very nihilistic in a way. Even like at the very beginning when we see her like flash back to the parents, and like the parents are like, we're gonna save you, and she's like, me? Like why? Like what? Like no, let me die with you guys too. Like what?
Yeah.
Why am I the only one getting to like survive like that? Like and
yeah, she's got like the survivor's guilt, and like so like if Lois is a cynic that thinks highly of herself, Kara is a cynic that like thinks low of herself because of that survivor's guilt.
Yes.
Yeah. So I
think what's fascinating. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So I like the fact that both of these are looking at Supergirl and saying, how can she be a foil for Superman? But then also Stan Harone is an interesting character built around that. Now, of these two versions, personally, I like the James Gunn one better. And here's why. Because I think that this version of Supergirl can be more than just a foil for Superman better. I think that she can be, for girls who Superman is for guys. She can be like, oh, I can relate to her humanity because I also experienced how to deal with trauma this way. There isn't this constant oh, okay, I feel separate from her because she's an alien compared to me. There isn't that quite that same thing. And I think actually the one drawback with this version of Supergirl is it doesn't leave a lot of room for the Connor Kent version of Superboy, who can also be kind of the rebellious cynic character. You have sort of two kind of rebellious teenage cynic characters, and so you have to figure out what does Connor do in that situation. But that's a whole other thing. I like this version of Supergirl, I think, the best that I've seen. So I say that to just say I'm on the side of this vision of Supergirl. And
I think usually what happens is that Connor becomes more like the Kara from My Adventures with Superman.
Sure, that's
sometimes that's what happens. Like depending on what version you're reading.
Right. Yeah. So here's my problem with the way that they handled that in Supergirl is, for me, when I'm watching the movie, every single scene of the movie felt either like a cliche that we have beat to death in superhero movies over and over again, or anytime they did introduce a potentially new idea, they would extremely underdevelop it to the degree that it didn't go anywhere. And so I'm going to give you a few examples of that and then compare it to other things that did things better than what they're doing here in order to explain that. And then from there, you can kind of push back on that. And I'm going to try to keep it brief, but also be thorough enough to explain what I mean. So let's take, the opening few kind of scenes in Supergirl. We have a very quick, let's look at her whole place where she lives, her trailer. We have a very fast, okay, here's a news clipping of Superman and
what was the first thing? I kind of lost you there at the beginning.
Okay, so
there's like a shot of inside her
the very
ship,
first scene is her inside her ship, and we have a very quick,
panning
shot of her messy apartment and her, waking up drunk, and also like a quick pan over the Superman news clipping, and then Crypto peeing on it, newspaper, and he could pee on it. And then we have, her kind of at these bars, getting drunk. And then we have, of course, the scene with, Ruthie is her name, the girl.
Yes.
Ruthie getting, her family getting killed. And then we have Supergirl at the bar being drunk and having the bar fight and then helping her. Okay. Every single thing in that scene, every single thing in this scene is stuff that has been in a dozen other, superhero things before. The drunk hero getting up and not, the drunk and being a mess and showing that they're a mess. The being at a bar and being a mess and then having to fight someone who's there. The hero, the person who comes a hero needs, and the person is, again, literally we just had that with Wolverine, in Deadpool and Wolverine. But in those stories, we always spent enough time in those scenes in order to say, okay, what's the thing that you're bringing to the table in this scene that we haven't seen before? So the Deadpool and Wolverine thing, we had enough time in those scenes to explore the particular banter between Deadpool and Wolverine, the Deadpool and Wolverine. With True Grit, which is, again, this whole thing is like True Grit in space, basically. The little girl whose parents, we had time to explore, okay, what kind of cynicism does, Rooster Cogburn have? and what makes his cynicism different from others we've experienced, and what makes her kind of, nobility and her kind of justice seeking different from kinds we experienced before. Here, again, all of these scenes take place maybe in like 10 minutes. By contrast, take something like James Gunn's Superman, where it spends like maybe a good 25 minutes going from, okay, we have Superman and we establish the kind of hero he is fighting the villain. We establish the kind of relationship he has with people of the Daily Planet. We establish the kind of relationship he has with Lois Lane. It's different from the relationships we've seen between him and other heroes and other love interests before, because of their very particular hiding from their friends while also being lovers, while also being before. With Supergirl, we never spend enough time to say, okay, what makes her kind of cynicism and bar hopping, bar crawling different from other versions of this we've seen before? And there are hints at it. For example, her kind of bar crawling is more of the party girl bar crawling to forget something, where she's chasing kind of a high. She's not kind of trying
she even makes the joke about it when she's talking to Lobo.
Get into fights, like a kind of a guy would. She's not.
Did we lose him?
I think we did.
Yeah, we got cut off for a minute.
There we go. No, and like I think you're right, because it like they kind of briefly she parodies that when she's like talking to Lobo of like, oh, I'm thinking like I'm trying to get drunk and everywhere, like, so it's like that is what she's doing, like, basically, right.
But the only version of that we see is her parodying herself. We never actually see, which again would be a different version of that than we've seen before, and explore a different kind of self-hatred and killing yourself drinking kind of thing than we've seen before, and give us something to chew on. So so you have that in the beginning. Now, I'll also say my family's been murdered. I mean, there've always been people who've made fun of the fact that it's basically exactly the scene from Rogue One, that whole that whole scene. But there's nothing in that Kill My Family things we haven't seen before. There's no what is this version of it bringing to the table. So so the opening scenes are all established. And this is why when I watched it, I said, "Oh, this is going to be terrible, isn't it?" So again, and there, now the thing is, there are things you could pull from Unique. Like I said, there's the very particular party girl kind of bar hopping thing. There's also the difference in the relationships she has, because she has a relationship with Superman, which is, she's doing this when there are expectations on her to be something else based on her family and her crest and things like that. That's something that, instead of being a thing that you pan over, just showing it out, you can spend a bit more time on it. You can have people say, "Hey, I recognize that symbol," and show expectations on her that way, and her kind of being, you can do some of that. You can.
I was a little bit. I think that was missing from the movie a little bit.
Because that was definitely a thing in the comic. Like, they were aware of her in the comic. She had a reputation.
I was a little bit confused by that, because I thought by this point she would be recognizable, because she's been, according to the timeline, she's been through the events of Peacemaker and Superman, and she's like a recognizable figure enough to be with the the Justice crew, basically. So
continuity-wise, it's one thing. Yeah, continuity-wise, it's one thing. But my objection really is, bring something to the table that says you have to, and they have the things right in front of them they could use, but they're not doing any of it. I'm going to give a couple more examples that are kind of world-building wise and then thematic-wise, and then I'll shut up. But I just want to be respectful of all the listeners' time, and be thorough kind of in what I'm talking about. So in terms of world-building, a lot of people have compared this world to like a cross between Guardians of the Galaxy and Mad Max Fury Road. And and because you have the kind of the sex slavery thing going on, you have those things, you kind of that savagery, but you also have kind of this, again, James Gunn aesthetic world of kind of hive of scum and villainy, kind of thing. The thing is, Guardians of the Galaxy, what was unique about Guardians of the Galaxy is he essentially said, we're going to take the Han Solo side of the Star Wars universe and make that the whole universe. It's going to be, it's going to be the mercenaries and cops and robbers of it, and just develop that and show all of the, like, what's it like when there's kind of a whole universe of kind of mercenaries and kind of, but different levels of them and different kinds of different, ones with a code and ones with this kind of code. So, and with Supergirl, nothing about it says what the take on this world is. You have sort of this grab bag of, oh, these are tech thieves. It's like, okay, develop that a little bit. No, nothing. They just kind of exist to be cannon fodder. So you have this thing, okay, there's no tone, there's no thing, there's no idea, there's no aesthetic that they're carving out that they can develop. Okay, so you have character that they don't do anything new with that we haven't seen before. They just do the bare bones of cliches in terms of like the dialogue, in terms of the character development, in terms of establishing things at the beginning. Then in terms of the world, there's nothing about it that stands out in terms of, a kind of world it is that makes you interested in finding out more of it. And then when you get thematically, one of the big things that they do in there is the whole, the girl's after revenge on the person who killed her family, and Supergirl's like, hey, this isn't going to fix your trauma. This isn't actually the answer. Revenge is not the answer. Okay, so there's a couple of things. The thing is, they don't treat that theme in any way except for parroting cliches. Because she says, this is not going to fix your trauma. And I know because I've gone through what you have. And then she tells a story of what she went through. And she didn't go through what she had. And so her examples of what she, went through in order to say, hey, I've gone through this. I know that this is not going to fix it, don't actually fit with the message she's trying to give her, but they never acknowledge that through the story. I know you guys kind of sent me a video that was kind of like saying, hey, this is the point, is that they don't have these different things. And it's like, that's you projecting. I'm sorry, the guy who's wrote that's him projecting onto the story. That did not happen in the story. The story never dealt with that. That's him treating it like a Rorschach test. Because they never acknowledge, either by telling or showing, that conflict there. She ends up essentially kind of agreeing with Kara. They treat that moment where she says, I know what you're going through and this is not the way, as a catharsis moment. And then Ruthie decides to say, I'm not going to do it, for no reason except that Kara has shown her through her example and through what she said that this is not the way. And then, of course, Kara goes back on it and kills him, So there's no push and pull where either, there's no thing where, like, Kara is saying this, but they show us that there's dissonance between her experience and her experience, where either Ruthie tells that to her face, or that through just showing, they show that there's dissonance, and Kara and her have to wrestle with that. And, and there's just so many kind of convenient things where it's like, okay, we got to take away Supergirl's powers because otherwise she's gonna do this all, wrap this up all too cleanly. And the thing is, again, here's another thing: is one of some of the best stuff in the movie is when we're flashing back to Krypton, and we're actually seeing her stuff there. And the thing is, and then we see her on Earth with Kal-El and see, like, that is such an emotional, way of establishing who Supergirl is. There were two things I would have liked them to do. Either put that at the beginning, because that establishes her and gets us on her side more than anything they should at the beginning. But I understand they want to establish her and then show the flashback. Again, that's fine. Don't cover it over with voiceover and distance us from what's going on. Let that breathe and let us experience it as if it's happening to us. So I guess my thing is that on every level it was cliche essentially from top to bottom, and where they had unique things that could say this is a story worth telling, they either made it go they went through it super quickly, so we didn't have time to breathe in it. They create distance between us and it with voiceover, or they made it not make sense by again doing the cliche of we're we're the same, and I know that's not the way, even though that has nothing to do with what's actually going on in the story. So that to me is why I came away being like, this is, the worst Hollywood movie I've seen this year. And certainly not a good super. I will also say this in terms of the kind of, you made the point about the algorithm thing. You're true. The algorithm all shows us what we want to hear. Why I say that most people are on my side is two reasons. One is, if you go to Rotten Tomatoes, both the critic score and the audience score are both negative. Are at least, let's say, underwhelming. So that's not the algorithm talking. That's a more objective source for that. The other is the box office, which is, you have a underwhelming critics and audience score and the box office. So that to me is a more objective measure of how people are responding to it than simply the algorithm and the sexists on the internet who are taking this on. But so that's okay. So that I did all that. Raymond, tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah. First of all, I just don't. I personally don't trust Rotten Tomato or anything like that, because we're the box office for to say, because like
as
we
an
have
animation fan, I always find box office judging a movie by its box office can be iffy sometimes.
Yeah, because to me, like Scott Pilgrim is such a great example of something that completely flopped audience and critic wise, and then like in 10 years later, it became.
Following.
It became one of the most
let me clarify. I'm not saying that makes it good or not.
Mm-hmm.
I was just saying on the most people are on my side on this.
I
was justifying that aspect of it.
Yeah.
But no, absolutely not. I mean, good Lord, everyone's wrong. Transformers is a masterpiece. Everybody on the Rotten Tomatoes was wrong about that movie. So, I definitely agree with that. All right, go ahead.
I would agree with you. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Unless
the critics got that wrong. Sorry. Anyway, go ahead. Tell me why I'm wrong about Supergirl.
Okay. I personally, like, with the stuff about the trauma, like, I at least, like, from a very, like, the thing is that this is gonna be hard for me because it is very, very subjective, I think, because it's like, objectively, I can see all the problems with this movie. Like, that's why, like, I am worried about the DC Universe, new DC thing in general, because I see all the flaws. But, like, subjectively, like, to me, first of all, I didn't, like, I see the trauma thing with Kara and Ruthie. I personally saw it more, she's saying, specifically, like, referring to the fact that she also lost her parents, or she thinks she lost her parents, or like they're dead, basically. And like I think that it is not the same. It definitely is not the same thing, but there is a sense where, like, I thought she was referring more to the fact that she lost her parents too, and she's tried everything and nothing's worked, basically, for her to, like, move on from the trauma. And that's specifically what she was talking about, that I know what you've been through. And that revenge is not going to fix it, because, like, it is just one more meaningless thing that you'll try to do that won't solve the actual issue that is, like, within you.
Same thing as, like, doing a bar hop is not going to cure her
exactly. So I saw it more as her being like, I also lost my parents.
I also have grief.
I also have grief. It's not the same situation, but I know that revenge is not going to solve your specific situation as much as my drinking and distancing myself from my family is gonna fix the situation I'm in. At least that's how I saw it, because Ruthie, even though she was like, oh yeah, like, you have gone through something similar to me, she still wanted to kill the guy, but she still was like, but I'm still gonna kill him, because like he killed my parents. So I saw that in that way, where to me it's more like she's like, she found, like, the kindred spirit of, like, you've also gone through pain, like, you understand it too. I get what you're going through, right? But it's like they do come from very, very different, like, situations. So like I also like what the guy said in the video. I also don't completely agree with him. Like I think it is a little bit, again, he's he's being very subjective as well to what he believes as well as going on in the movie, which happens a lot in online.
Yep, it's art.
But what I don't like is when they say that it's objective stuff, where it feels like they are trying to say that that is what's happening, but when it's more of a reading of what's happening, because you're always going to have an interpretation of a story and such. Now, one of the biggest things about mainly what you mentioned at first with the cliches and stuff that we've seen before, and I talked to Nathan. I think I just consume a lot of media as like a lot, like I know you do as well as a critic and stuff like that. But what I mean is like I watch like a lot of like anime slop, like like and like anime is basically a clone of a clone of a clone of a clone of a clone. That's what an anime feels like most of the time. It's like you've seen the same thing done over and over and over, but the what feels nice about it as someone with autism is that it's recognizable and I get to just like understand it. I'm like, okay, I get what's going on. Like I get it. Like
It's
this is what's happening. I don't have to overthink because I've seen it before. So I'm like, okay, I can get myself into this world immediately. Now, like, let's focus about the most important thing. Like, why didn't they decide to show Brainiac getting the planet thing? But to me, and more because you guys saw the movie first. And you guys were like, this is going to be awful. And like, and I literally said, you guys are lowering my expectations so much, I'm going to love this movie. And
which I knew would happen, yes.
That is exactly what happened. Because, like, I went in there with my expectations in the floor, and I was like, okay, this is not that bad. Like, this is at best, like a good movie. At worst, not the worst thing I've seen this year. Like,
what have you seen
so
that's worse?
Like,
all right, go. I'm sorry. I'm shutting up now.
What? Okay, hold on. I think I said it already. Like, told you. Oh, Scary Movie. Scary Movie 6.
That's right. This is true. That is true. I have not seen Scary Movie, so I stand corrected. I'm sure that's 100 times worse.
That was the worst movie I've seen in this year. It was terrible. I don't regret that I watched it. But at the same time, I'm very disappointed. Like, I'm incredibly disappointed because I was hoping for so much more. It very much felt like
it feels like a layup.
It didn't feel like a cash grab.
It feels like a layup for it to be funny because you have like so many popular horror movies that have come out since the last Scary Movies, just parodying those new ones, just being silly. Should be so easy to make a casually relaxed, funny movie.
Yeah, Hollywood's forgotten how it would be silly.
The problem is that's the thing that happened. They wanted to fit all the stuff in one movie. They wanted to fit almost 20 years of horror movies into one movie. And, well, I think 20 years is too much. Like 15 years. Like last 15 years of movies into one, and it's like it was not good, and it was following. I think it was following the worst one, which was like like the newest Final Destination. That's the one that they decided to like follow as the main story. Like I was like, what?
Actually,
like,
the latest Final Destination is great, so I don't know what you're talking
about. No, don't get me wrong. That's good, but like you have Smile, like that. Could have
I
been,
see what
like,
you mean. Yes,
sure, you could have done Smile, like Smile 2, like that would have been such a great.
I get that. I mean, I get the whole thing of because the Final Destination's conceit was, it's old now, and we're going to, and they do the whole, so like they do that. But they could have done Halloween. They could have done The Scream. Anyway, let's go back to talking about Supergirl.
So yes, you still put Supergirl above this.
So again, I'm gonna let you finish. But what I'm hearing you say so far is basically this movie played a familiar greatest hits of familiar tropes we've seen before, but string them together competently enough, and that didn't bother you. It's like, hey, I don't mind if you've got a greatest hits of tropes that I like, and you string them together pretty well. I don't mind that. I actually enjoy that.
Yes, that is why. Like, that's basically why, because. And that's such a brilliant way to put it.
It's like a bag of barbecue chips compared to say a barbecue, actual barbecue meal. It's like you still like the barbecue chips and you'll snack on them gladly.
Which is again
that's a good point.
Fair, which is a fair thing to say. It's like, hey, look, this is playing a greatest hits. It's not bringing a lot new to the table, but it is hitting all the points that I like from my content, and it's stringing them together in a way that's not embarrassing. That's fair.
I am going to say what you said from the very beginning. I think Supergirl is a supporting character. This movie would have been better if Ruthie was the main character.
Yeah, just like,
and it was from her perspective, looking at this washed up superhero. Sure. I think that would have been far more interesting and something we've not seen before completely done. I don't think we've ever seen a movie about superheroes completely from the perspective of an outsider looking in.
Literally what Woman of Tomorrow does.
I think that's fair. My pushback to that is, then you would have had to develop Ruthie to be interesting in a way that she wasn't in this story in order for it to stand in that way. Not that you couldn't have done that, but I also think that you didn't have to do that for this story to be interesting. I think that the version of Supergirl that they have is capable of being a protagonist in the story.
Yes, but not for this comic, is my point. Because not for this specific story. Mm-hmm. Because I could grant you that. I think this casting of Supergirl, this actress, could literally pull off a whole story on her own. Mm-hmm. I think that this, though, for me, someone who hasn't read the comic book, I just know the plot. Right? What I found the most compelling were the moments where it jumped to her perspective.
Ruthie's?
And those were the moments where, to me, the movie became beautiful. There was something so breathtaking to me, in the movie theater. Because everything else was okay, I've seen this before, bland, great. But every moment it would switch to her perspective of what she was seeing. Specifically in the fight scenes, which was basically what they did with Mr. Terrific, it was that, but to me here, it felt very different than when that happened in that movie. When that scene happened in Superman, we all went oh, that's the Yandu moment. That's that's the Yandu of this world. But here, what I felt was because it never fully focused on the fight.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It was on her experience of what was going on.
Yeah, it's very scary. It's very mysterious. It's she's in the middle of a hurricane. It's what is this weird, mysterious woman that I'm traveling with who's able to do just swoop in like a hurricane, destroy all these guys? What is going on?
And to your point, I still don't know that I entirely agree with you, but to your point, that is the plot of True Grit. That is particularly if you watch the Coen brothers, Jeff Bridges and Haley Steinfeld, actually, in one of her first roles, I think, when she plays the Ruthie character, Haley Steinfeld, and she's this 12-year-old girl who's like, my parents have been murdered, and I'm finding the biggest, baddest mother effer to go kill him. And she finds, Rooster Cogburn, who's played by Jeff Bridges, and he's this drunk, kind of washed up, old.
Got you. Okay.
And so that's
I've never seen
this. So that's the plot of True Grit. And so she is the protagonist, but the character everyone remembers is Rooster Cogburn, because he's this kind of larger than life, washed up Western gunslinger. And so, what you're describing, we know works because John Wayne did it, and then Jeff Bridges did it. It's a classic Western.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's the thing. So you watch that movie, True Grit.
Yeah.
You think it's great. Like,
Yeah.
you think it's good? Okay. This would have been my true grit.
Yeah.
If they did it like that.
Gender swapped True Grit in space is not a bad pitch, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Which I guess you could argue is exactly what the comic book was.
Yeah,
And
that's a funny thing. It's like this movie, like you said, this woman, this actress, this character could be like a main character in like their own plot, like specifically tailored for that. It's just funny how they went out of the way to specifically adapt a story where it's more she's the secondary character. So and then they don't fully even commit to that. Where it's like they do make a lot of choices that are very reminiscent of that. And I do applaud the choices they make, but then they go out of the way to do things that kind of completely divert from the story, where it's like, wait, you already committed this far, why didn't you commit all the way? Because now it just kind of feels like you're trying to be 50-50 and like have your cake and eat it too, and doesn't feel like you really decided what you wanted to do. And yeah, I agree with Ray, it would have been more interesting if, like the comic, they kind of did more from Ruthie's perspective, because Ruthie, is more fleshed out as a character in that story,
she does
because the way the whole story is presented.
She does have the strong.
The way the whole story is presented is like she's writing a story.
Yeah, she has the stronger character motivation, which is, my family's been killed, I want revenge. And kind of drives what happens in the story. So that makes sense. I guess to some degree, like from the normie perspective, I understand, again, I understand as a nerd, it's like, oh, you're adapting this comic book story? Why don't you freaking adapt the comic book story?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of understand that. But I also can say from a normie perspective, it's like, nobody's going to see a movie called Ruthie. This was always the funny thing. I kept getting these women on my I'm always getting it on my TikTok that said, why isn't there any Ruthie in the marketing? Why is it all Supergirl and Lobo? It's like, because people know who Supergirl and Lobo are.
Because the thing is, because like there is a way to do it where it still puts Supergirl in the focus, I guess is what we're trying to get at. Because in the story, yes, it's still from Ruthie's perspective, but you're still seeing Ruthie in all these things Supergirl's doing. Because I think the main difference between the story and the movie is the story is more about the journey of them trying to get from point A to where the bad guy is. Because along the way, they're helping all these people in the wake of this guy's destruction. And Supergirl is being a beacon of hope by helping all these people along the way. And Ruthie is seeing that and being in awe of that. Whereas in this movie, they kind of cut that all short because, they had to fit it into our movie.
Think about this. The movie's still going to be Supergirl movie. It is still. Like, you have the backstory of Supergirl. You have the Supergirl as she's gonna be the one, the action hero. She's gonna be the superhero. It would have been fascinating to learn everything through Ruthie's perspective, like everything about Supergirl through Ruthie's perspective. Where, like, at first it's just like, oh, she meets like this random girl at a bar. Mm-hmm. She doesn't know who that is. We don't know who that is. Like, as the audience, like, we know who that is because of the trailers and stuff like that. But, like, we don't know, like, through the story, we don't know who that is. Mm-hmm. And as the story progresses, we learn that is Supergirl, like, related to Superman, like, and all that stuff. And Ruthie kind of, like, uncovering that, and Supergirl kind of, like, sharing her backstory of, like, who she is and stuff like that, and blah, blah, blah. And that would have been an incredible...
I guess my pushback on that is still twofold. One, that wouldn't have fixed the problems of the movie, because Ruthie's scenes, where it was just her, were written just as cliche, just as blandly, just as, kind of quickly going through the motions, stuff like that. So that wouldn't have fixed the problems of the movie actually had. It may have made it a little bit more focused if we stuck to just doing her stuff. Maybe they would have, again, it was a movie that was like an hour and 40 minutes. Like, I think you could have fixed the problems of underdevelopment by making it 2 hours rather than sort of cutting it down. I don't think, but I think that the primary problem with it was underdevelopment and just ticking cliche boxes. The focus wouldn't have changed. And I think that, I'm more interested in a story where Supergirl's a protagonist, and I think that they could have done this story with Supergirl as a protagonist. Again, you follow Supergirl kind of in her kind of bar crawl lifestyle, and then she encounters somebody who pulls her out of it, and we watch her at these two characters' different traumas, kind of speak back to each other. The movie would have been great if they went that direction too, and would have fulfilled more of the normie and nerd audience expectations of the brand. Again, I would say for me the best parts of the movie were the ones where they're focusing on her relationship with Superman, ones where they're focusing on her trauma of her past, because that kind of idea of, oh, we saved ourselves from Krypton and we're going to live our whole lives, but it's the poisoning is going to still kill us slowly. Like, that's a take, actually, like, I haven't really seen before, in the Superman thing. And so I think, in a sense, I'm more interested in the Supergirl character they created than I am in Ruthie, because to me still, and partly, again, this is my media consumption thing. I feel like, again, I haven't finished the Woman of Tomorrow comic, but from what I've seen of Ruthie so far in there, and what I saw so far in Ruthie in the movie, I know that character. I'm not seeing anything new or interesting about that character that is as interesting to explore to me as the version of Supergirl that they've presented to us. Now, I will say this though. I'll say this though, and then you can push back, which is that you absolutely could have also made a good movie by keeping the perspective focused on Ruthie, and you would have had one that was more faithful to the comic. So that is a point, a couple points in your favor.
Because to me, I don't care about Ruthie.
It's mostly just an audience proxy. She's just literally an everyman. It's like literally any person just ran into Supergirl and had to deal with their own issue, and you're speaking this, and you just literally stumble on Beacon of Hope as you're dealing with your own grief.
That is what I'm talking about. Like, I don't care.
And to your point, sorry, go ahead. I'm shut up.
No, I'm just saying that to me, she would have been acting more as an audience proxy, like Nathan said, where like I don't care about this character. I just like the idea, like also as like I'm thinking like a directing kind of like point of view, like that sounds awesome.
Okay,
like
so if I'm understanding what you're saying, the parts of the movie you enjoyed the most, and to your credit, this is something we have not really seen as often in a superhero movie before, was let's see the superhero through the eyes of someone else. And
yes.
Okay, fair. That's very fair. That's a good point.
Those were the beautiful moments to me, where it's like, and I told this to Nathan already, but it would have been incredible if the perspective is Ruthie all along, and then like she's been saying like, oh, don't do the vengeance thing or whatever, and then like Ruthie's story is done whenever she chooses not to vengeance and leaves, and then like the focus shifts to Supergirl taking the decision of murdering the guy anyways, like as a form of it, because it's like it would break the so it would have shown you like this beacon of hope, right, who was broken themselves, right, in a way, but it's like, oh, she's choosing the moral high ground and all this stuff, like she's being the beacon of morality in this sense, but then like it switches to her point of view completely, and she chooses to like end the life of this guy.
Yeah, which I didn't like, get thematically what they're going for with that. But I will say this. I don't mind the perspective change idea of doing things. Again, this is what Alfred Hitchcock did in Psycho, the switching the perspective halfway through. I think that can work. I typically think it works better if it's halfway through the movie rather than in the last third of the movie does that. None of that is, I think, a bad thing. I think,
but like just to finish what the whole idea of why I enjoyed this movie is like those moments were awesome, but I really like all you described, all the stuff about Krypton, all the flashbacks were incredible. I love the fact of like, oh, like this is really good because they kept it vague enough that that what Brainiac can still fit into this like storyline where now like after thinking that her family's dead and all this stuff all this time, suddenly Brainiac comes in and like, no, it's like I have that little like little piece of Krypton in my collection. So like I would love that. Like for her reality to shatter once again would be incredible. Like
no lie. I am still. I said this on Twitter. I am excited for Man of Tomorrow. I'm ready to be hurt again. I'm ready to be disappointed by a Superman project again. If you tell me tomorrow, hey, not only is this going to be Superman team up with Lex Luthor, which we predicted on this show, by the way. We predicted Superman teaming up with Lex Luthor fight Brainiac on this show, by the way.
We actually did.
I forgot about that.
But if we did that, not only that, but Supergirl's going to be in it, and Lobo's going to be in it, and Peacemaker's going to be in it, and Idris Elba as Bloodsport's going to be in it, then I could almost forgive like any other mistakes they made just to have all 5 of these people sharing screen time at once, because that to me is the James Gunn verse that I want to see.
I would love to see Peacemaker in any like in a movie as a main character. That would be incredible.
I was like telling Joe this when he's first presenting this idea. I was like, Joe, you sound like a kid on Santa Claus's lap, naming all of his favorite toys he wants. I want this guy, and I want this guy, and I want him.
To me, this is why I still think that there's something effective of what James Gunn has built. Because even though I've been disappointed in most of the projects that have come out, or at least underwhelmed by them, let's say, I'm still like, I love these versions of these characters he's created, and I want to see them interact with each other. And that's like, to me, says, okay, that means that he's done something right. Ray, are you here?
So, okay, I'm here.
Oh,
can you hear me?
There's just a little lag.
He might be lagging again. Oh, there we go.
Yeah. So I really, 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 really liked the fact that she kills the bad guy. I knew it was coming. Like I saw it a mile away. I was like, that's the only way this movie's ending, is her doing that. And again, I didn't know that happened in the comic books. I didn't spoil myself at the end or whatever. So it's like, I was like,
oh, she doesn't in the comic.
What, she doesn't?
No. This like they straight up divert from the comic in this. They
nice.
They do a fake out is what they pretty much do. It's like they tell the world that he's dead, but they actually just like hide him away for a long time until he repents, and then they let him go.
Fascinating. Gotcha. So I think I saw this coming because like, here's the thing. I see this movie, and what I see right now, like, I don't know, Joseph, how informed you are with all the Jeffrey Epstein stuff. Like,
okay.
That is something disturbing and dark, real, that's happening in our world. And to me, this felt like a escapism kind of like a story where you get to see that horror, that the specific person causing this horror, all these people get completely obliterated by Supergirl, a woman herself, right? Like that, like that, like all this, like woman trafficking, all this, like as well, like children and stuff like that we see in that movie. Her saving them, her taking down, destroying all this like real evil, because it's not just like a fictional thing. This is a real thing, and to see that on screen was satisfying. As someone who does not believe in that, right? Like as a Christian, like I believe in redemption. Like I prefer the Steven universe. Like all bad guys
become good. Yes, and repent and stuff like that. Yeah.
But I also as a human, as Raymond the human, I have my moral limits. And I strive to be better than those. like I've strived to be able to look at something like that and say I can still forgive that. But me as a human, as flesh, still, I still hear about these things, and what I feel is like, man, they deserve to die. And like Nathan from the Overthinkers podcast was like actually talking about this in a recent episode of going
death
that
penalty, death
he
penalty,
thinks that yes,
death penalty
where it's
episode,
like
yeah.
it doesn't make sense for the murderer to be murdered, because then like you don't like it doesn't make sense. Like it is not. There is
you don't commit
like
a wrong in order to
exactly a wrong with wrong doesn't make a right.
Yeah.
So, but in the escapist fantasy, for people that have experienced this stuff, that have experienced trauma like this before, that have experienced these things, there are specific movies and shows that have done these kind of things before, and it gives you like a sense of like
it gives you catharsis,
like a sense of relief. It's a catharsis. There we go.
Yeah. Well, so I'm
So this movie to me felt like catharsis, and that is my last point to why I enjoyed this movie, is because through all the stuff that has been coming out throughout this two years, it was very interesting for this movie to come out now, and I think that that's one of the main reasons why they wanted to tackle the this topic in the movie, like actually like this story. Maybe it is not completely intentional, but I do think that it is, and it because it is a female character as well, and we know that is something that is in the psyche of women, most like a lot.
Yeah, it disproportionately happens to women, so it's
and I'm like I in the theater, I had a couple of women next to me, and their take on it was for the girl to kill him. Like they yelled out, "Kill him!" Like, and that like spoke like that to me was like, oh, like yeah. And but for me, I was like, no, don't make the innocent child kill the guy. Like that's not good. Because that was like my morality was like, okay, wait, hold on. I think I think the world has gone a bit too dark.
So I think
but at the same time, I was like, but I'm definitely okay with Supergirl doing it. So like, if she steps away and Supergirl kills the dude right now, I'll cheer, because like it's gonna be cathartic. It's gonna be like a fictional win, basically, and from there, like everything gets better and resolved and all that stuff, right? Because it does end with a little like pretty bow, where it's a bit jarring because of the like, but at the same time, like if you see it from that perspective, it is less jarring because it is kind of a like, yay, we did it kind of thing. We beat the misogynist, like, trafficker man. Hooray, you know? So it's like...
And from a thematic perspective, like, I was honestly caught by surprise by her killing the guy, but I'm okay with it when I think back to it, because to Joe's point about how it felt like the movie was just saying a lot of platitudes and saying a lot of cliches, I was definitely feeling that too, and I still feel that. But I think I would have been more annoyed if she let the guy live, because it felt like the movie was just like having its cake and being it too, and not really being very authentic. So to me, I feel like the fact that she does kill him feels a bit more authentic, because like Ruthie calls her out in her philosophy, Lobo calls her out in her philosophy. So he gets called out mainly multiple times, plus he doesn't really have an answer for it. So I felt like the movie, at least the impression I got in the aftermath was, okay, it feels like the movie's trying to say that even Supergirl herself doesn't have an answer, so she just kills the guy. And that's not necessarily an amazing thing, but like it's still better that he's not in the world. So but I guess for me, my main issue is they don't really land the plane properly afterwards, where it's like it kind of happens, and I feel like it just kind of becomes an afterthought or a footnote very quickly.
So that's my Yeah, so this is my thing is, so I agree with everything you said, Raymond, in principle. Again, catharsis movies where we take real world events and we give fictional catharsis to them is a respected classic Hollywood tradition. I mean, that is half of Quentin Tarantino's career. That's the Dirty Harry movies, would do that. It's like, oh, the real world crime that is, again, in the Dirty Harry era, people forget, people were experimenting with a more soft on crime policy where they would try more to, rehabilitate criminals rather than put them in jail. They were trying to, let people off a little bit more. And that was partly, creating a rise in crime. And so Dirty Harry was kind of, this fictional catharsis of having a policeman say like, no, I'm actually going to get justice for Bill. I mean, they have these argument. He's arguing with his captain, where he's like, look, we got to respect, the criminal's rights. And he said, well, what about the victim's rights? That's them bringing in a real world conversation into the movie. And then, of course, he does kill the criminal, and that becomes a catharsis. That's, so I think you're right. I think that you're right about what they're trying to do by having him be a sex trafficker and in a female, centric, and then having, again, just the same way as Quentin Tarantino, it's the Jews who get to kill Hitler, and it's, the former slave who gets to kill the slave owner. It's like, okay, we're going to give a fictional catharsis to the victims to be able to fight back. I think that's great. And I think that even potentially the idea of you can't do it because it's going to do something to you that would be bad for you. But that doesn't mean that he shouldn't get killed by someone, because he shouldn't really be allowed to keep doing what he's doing. I even think that idea is a thematically plausible idea. I just don't think, as Nathan said, that they landed the plane or developed that idea so that actually came across on screen. I think that's
I'm gonna agree with you, because it is from that moment on, the movie just goes like bullets, like boom, 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 boom.
It's like your earlier point, Joe. The movie's a bit short. Like, they could have used like 20 or 30 extra minutes to cook some ideas more.
The average Supergirl movie is 2 hours, and this was an hour and 40 minutes.
Yes, I think it was way too weird. Like, I'm gonna give it to you in the fact that it did not land properly to me, because it's like, I got my catharsis, everything fine, but we like
Whiplash.
quibs, comedy,
Whiplash.
and then like it.
It's like, where did logo go? Like, I thought they were setting up something a logo there, because they kept cutting back to him being like a murder bono for him killing the guy, but then they don't talk anymore afterwards. He's just gone.
Genuine like conversation with not very long, just like a literally like, I'm back. Okay, you're staying now? Yes. And then like, oh, you shouldn't eat the chocolate, Crypto. Yeah. Like that's like it was so jarring.
I feel like they didn't know how to end the movie.
Yeah. I was like, exactly. That's how it like literally felt. Like, they did not know how to end the movie. Like, because after the catharsis happens, I agree with you, Joseph. They should have like not explain it, but like show us the gravity of what she did.
Yeah.
Like what, like because that what you just said was the thing that I came out of the movie from, where I was like, this is really good because it is not, and the way she kills him is very interesting as well. And again, they don't give too much to it. And that's the thing about, I thought that after that happened, she was gonna go and like say to Lova, like, no, you're wrong.
Yeah,
like,
I thought they were gonna have some talk.
I didn't kill him for vengeance. Like, I killed him because he was doing this whole thing. Like, cause before she didn't know anything about this dude. Like, before she didn't know that he was trafficking like women and stuff like that. What she knew was that he killed the girl's parents, and that he poisoned her dog. But the moment the moment that Supergirl sees what he's doing in that planet that he finds, like the girls and stuff like that, you can see in her acting the demeanor change, and the moment she decides that she's gonna kill him, like
Yeah.
you can like I
again,
saw that.
There's like things that are interesting you can do, like, you know, one of the things that in The Godfather, where they have this transition where it's like the son is like super against, you know, all the criminal activity of his family, and then when he realizes that all the police are kind of in on things too, so it's like, oh, you know, I'm trying to protect a law and order that maybe doesn't really exist, you know, is like when he starts to become more comfortable with this sort of thing. So again, you can do some things where, like, look, if we're really in the Wild West, frontier justice
Yes.
isn't so bad, you know.
Yes, because and that's the whole point, because she doesn't kill from a vengeance standpoint. She kills from a justice.
Yeah.
Like, this is justice.
Yeah.
Like, and
We're in the
that's why
frontier,
movie,
and this is frontier justice. You know.
Yeah, and it's just so
this
weird
is-
how the movie doesn't like stop to actually like give her a chance to like breathe and say that, because like 5 scenes earlier you have Lobo literally saying, "Well, everyone kills for a reason. He kills for money.
Exactly.
He kills for something else. Like everyone has a reason."
Yes.
No,
But
I mean,
Kara
again,
never gets her reason.
And you know, it's so again, first of all, I don't think you necessarily needed to have it happen after that if you had set it up enough before
Just
that.
something somewhere in the movie.
Yeah, in order to give us an interpretive lens for it, but they just didn't do that.
They could have layered it a little bit more.
I mean,
like,
I like the thing that's like, you know, where, you know, I think actually though, because he said everyone kills for some reason.
Yes.
If they'd had even just a thing where he said, "I guess you found your reason."
Yes.
So
yeah,
like,
that would be great.
Like, I thought that was what they were going to do. It was like, otherwise,
Yes.
like, what was the point of Lobo being in this movie? Because he's not in the original story, and like, he doesn't really add anything else.
To
so I thought they added him
make every scene with him in it watchable. That's
and
why.
yes,
Yeah.
because he's
No, but-
amazing. It's just I thought they were going to at least add him for some philosophical.
No, he
like,
doesn't have a
exposition,
narrative.
But nope.
He doesn't have a narrative or thematic
He
purpose.
the
Nope.
thing is that I think he is there for that. It's just that they don't deliver on it.
Yes,
No.
yeah.
Like they
Yeah.
I think there was intent, because again, like, even though you didn't see it, Nathan, I kind of did. Like, I kind of saw, like, the moment she saw what they were doing,
Mhm.
to me there was a change in her demeanor.
Mm.
And like when the family of the girl and the girl is killed,
Mhm.
and she goes like, "Well, you see, like, you should have let me kill him.
Yeah.
You should have let me kill him." And she leaves, and you see her look at the dead, like, these dead people,
Yeah.
and then look at, like, what's going on with the other girls, like, running away and stuff like that. And she, like, there is a change in her, like, in the way she's thinking, where in that moment I was like, she's gonna kill him. Like, that is the end of this movie.
And again,
she is going to
having both of the characters kind of deconstruct in opposite directions could have, if again they had developed those, could have been extremely powerful. Where it's like the person who starts out everything about her is, I'm going to kill him. Because I think that's going to satisfy me, but then finding out that there's something else that actually satisfies that instead, that's really what she was looking for. And then Supergirl learning, actually having the purpose to protect other people gives me a purpose that justifies my existence, and sometimes that includes killing, would have been really powerful if they developed those ideas.
But I think that was the theme, is just like you're saying, they didn't develop it.
Yeah.
Well,
So
And again, that's essentially what they land. Essentially, that's how the original comic lands too.
So I think that what the
like,
agreement that we've come to, and one of the things I like about these conversations is, even when we start out with disagreement, we usually can land on, we agree on the facts, we maybe disagree on how important these facts are to us. But I think we all agree that the ideas in this were really good. The execution was lacking in multiple aspects. But for you, the ideas that existed in there, as undeveloped as they were enjoyable enough to you that it justified, is like, I can live with some poor execution or lackluster, or even, let's say, underwhelming execution for the fact that they actually did the thing. You know, they put the thing on screen, and I value that thing that they put on screen. And for me, it's like,
Yes.
I needed you actually.
Really, it's not too far off of our common take about us. It's not honestly it's not that far off from our usual take about My Adventures with Superman, really.
Yes, that's usually what we always end up that podcast with. It's like, we like the ideas you brought to the table. It's just the execution was kind of weird.
It's like, there's not enough time. They don't dedicate enough time because they don't have enough time. So
20 episodes. At least 13. At least 20 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, this is the last thing before we start talking about, like, the future of the DC.
Yeah. James Gunn.
I really, really liked that moment, like that specific moment of her killing him,
mm-hmm.
and all their thoughts about it were right, and I agree with them. But like, I really liked it a lot because of that reaction my audience members had,
Mm-hmm.
because it kind of went against what they wanted, where. Like, they yelled out, like, these girls, like, next to me yelled out, like, when she was, like, having the sword next to him, they were like, kill him, like, yes, do it. And for Supergirl to step in and go, like, no, don't take vengeance into your own hands, which is a very Christian concept. Don't take vengeance into your own hands. Let me carry the burden of the vengeance for you. And that's what God does. So like, I do think that little moment, to me, like, it made me cry, and it made me feel like this is really important, like, for people to understand. But I feel like, because it didn't, like, I think it reminds me a lot of the conversation about Steven Universe, where that is such a Christian concept, but you would miss it entirely if you don't have all this context of theology, like, behind it. And and that happens a lot with just, like, James Gunn movies in general, because he has such a theological perspective on things sometimes.
As the Christians on the internet like to say, Christ haunted imagination. Yes.
Yes, he's that Christ haunted figure. Yeah, but it's like that where you can see it, like, and there's, like, this beautiful thing, right, like, underneath all this, like, gore and violence and stuff like that. But there is something, like, truly beautiful, and you can see it a lot with Peacemaker. Like, Peacemaker really emphasized that, like, to, like, the fullest extent.
Yep.
Where, like, season 2, he was like, who cares about the violence and stuff like that? I'm just gonna fully go dive into, like, the psyche and the redemption of this character, like, completely. So it's like, and that's so fascinating, right? Where that's what this movie was missing. I wanted to see Peacemaker levels of that in this movie. And
even just 2 hours worth instead of, like, the 8 episodes. But, like, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
This is the problem I had. Big problem with this movie. And I said it at the beginning, and I say it again. It tried to be James Gunn without James Gunn being in the wheel of it.
Yeah.
And when you don't understand what's the core of a James Gunn movie, you're not gonna succeed.
Yeah.
And
like, even the music choices felt lackluster.
Yes, that is another great point, because it tried to also be like James Gunn.
Needle drop. Oh gosh, we got the needle drop, and it's like
and that's not the point either. With the, like, it's not the needle drop. That's not the point. It's how it makes you feel. Like, and
that's his thing he does. But no, I agree. Craig Gillespie should not have tried to be James Gunn. He should have been Craig Gillespie.
And exactly. And lastly, this movie did not make me feel any moment.
Wow.
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as a
But
as
your
a
heart
like
didn't break
cool
at any
movie.
point.
I like again. There was two instances. It was the moment where like where she talks about her past.
Mhm.
That was really like that, and we see the like the flashback of with her parents. That was a lot. That was really good. Like that made me feel. But not fully.
Yeah.
Because I was like, it wasn't the main focus, and it was too quick.
Yeah.
Because I was like, you could have made me feel like I was about there. I was like a little bit. If I got a little bit more, like you would have got me.
Yeah.
And I think you, to your point, Joseph, if all of the if it wasn't broken up into like individual pieces, it was just like a full 20 minutes at the beginning of the movie, I would have been completely invested. This would have been a completely different movie if it was edited differently.
If they started out with Krypton and then followed through with her being and meeting Superman on Earth and her trying to adjust to Earth and then being like, you know what, I'm just going to go bar crawling and do that thing. Like I would have been sold for a long time of this.
I was even expecting for us to get the timeline of events of the DC universe to this point with Supergirl, because I was like, she's been part of everything, like to this point.
Yeah.
Like she's the only one that has connected to every single thing. Why not give us the whole timeline of the universe with her? That would have been perfect. Yeah. Because she's there with the introduction of Superman. She's there with the introduction of Peacemaker into like this world and stuff like that. So it's like she's the perfect catalyst to connect all of this stuff, because she makes it to Earth in the point where Superman is like kind of still starting as well. So it's like it would have given us like a lot of connection between all of these projects so far.
Yeah, it's like give us a quick montage of how she's trying and failing to connect with her while showing all these
her emotional arc works so well with that, because it's like, oh, this is unfamiliar to her and she's trying to fit in but she can't and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, any thoughts from? I want to make sure we get your thoughts, Nathan, on this, because I'm sure you can be as brief as you want, but I want to make sure we get your thoughts before we transition into, because this is a good transition point into, okay, wider DCU, how does this go? So any thoughts you would put to wrap up on this part of the conversation, Nathan?
I think I pretty much said everything I said, like while bouncing off each of your ideas. I think the only other thing that kind of bugged me about this movie is just the way they handled her powers, where it just felt like they didn't really completely like write this story with her powers in mind, per se, where it's like the scene where like she does confront Krem for the first time and like he kills the family and runs off. It's like, wait, how did Kara lose track of him? Doesn't she have like super seeing, like super vision and super hearing? It's like, oh, okay, like maybe they're not acknowledging that in this movie. Maybe those powers haven't developed yet. Like maybe they're growing over time, like they do with Spider-Man and the Tom Holland movies. Okay, I'll accept that. But then like 2 scenes later, you see a scene of her using her X-ray vision, and then a flashback scene acknowledging how she has super hearing. Wait, so she has both. How did this guy get away from her?
It's like, I don't know. I mean, again, I don't know if either of you guys have seen Disclosure Day by Steven Spielberg, but the entire movie, it's people have called it like one of the most boomer movies ever made. And the reason is because the entire movie is built around plots that don't work in an age of cell phones and AI. Because the whole thing is, we have to carefully orchestrate this plot to make sure that everybody is watching TV to find out that the aliens have among us, when it's like, I mean, there are a couple of lines that are really funny where it's like, oh, why don't, I'm just going to upload it online. It's like, no, we can't do that. We have to, make sure everyone's watching it on TV. Why? They don't explain. And then they have it, when everyone's on TV, they're like, is this AI? It's like, no, we've confirmed it's not AI. How have you confirmed it's not AI in 5 seconds? So it's like the horror films that don't work whenever anybody has cell phones. So you have to find convoluted ways to avoid. It's that they used her superpowers like the cell phones. It's like, man, this is such an inconvenience that she has superpowers for our plot. So we have to keep either forgetting she has them or explaining them away in order to do the plot they want to do, instead of doing something like the James Gunn Superman, where his powers are built into the story that you're telling. Is
Yes.
so yeah. So
Yeah.
to your point, Nathan. Yes, that was a
Yeah, it felt like I was
It's-
missing here, and so it just gave me the vibes that the people making this didn't really want to make a Supergirl movie. They just kind of wanted to make a Lobo movie instead.
Also, what the heck is... I don't care if it's in the comic books. What the heck is it with this green sun? That
The
was...
way the comic
what-
explains it is basically, and this plays off the whole like reputation of both Supergirl and Superman in space. In the comic, the way they explain it is that it's actually a manufactured planet and sun made by a bunch of Superman space enemies to trap him, and he actually
Okay, that's what I was...
That's actually really
like,
cool.
angry about.
yeah, and
that's
they don't
actually
do
really
that in
cool.
the movie.
Like, I was angry about it because the villain, doesn't seem to know either Superman or Supergirl at all.
Okay,
So I was so confused. I was
So
like,
this is something again I would have loved to do again, where it's like treat Supergirl in space like the kind of like wayward cousin of like a celebrity. Where it's like again, you have paparazzi who are kind of like after her. She's like Britney Spears, you know. It's like a paparazzi who are after her, and then people like people like, oh, well, I'm gonna beat you in a fight, you know, and then I'll be able to beat you, Superman. And
That's literally what the comic does. There are
And it's
literally
like,
moments
that
where someone
would've been
confronts her
fun.
because, yeah, guys, there are literally moments throughout the story where like Ruthie and Supergirl like at some space barge, like getting a drink or getting ready to go somewhere, and some guy confronts her like, "Oh, wait a minute, you're Supergirl? Like my cousins are in jail because of Superman. I'm going to get revenge because of you." And Supergirl just like kicks his bar stool down and like knocks him in the head or something and just walks off completely casually because she's used to that interaction.
Why?
I have a
Why
huge
did I get to
problem.
see that? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Exactly. I have a huge problem with them going like, "Oh, she's Kryptonian." I'm like, wait, hold on. Kryptonians don't have superpowers. Like, nobody knows that. Like, nobody knows that. Like they know Superman. Like, they know who Superman is, and they know that Superman is the last Kryptonian.
That's so right.
Therefore, that's
so
why that
right.
becomes a popular thing. So I was really upset that they, for some reason, they decided to, instead of going like Superman's reputation, they decided to go like Kryptonians. Like, oh, I bought this like kryptonite because of Kryptonians. I'm like, what other Kryptonians are you meeting?
Yeah,
Like, what are you
That's
talking
so
about?
true.
Like, what? Like,
Anyway.
what other you mean like the two Kryptonians that exist, like that are left in the whole universe? Like, why do you even know that they have superpowers? Like,
Also,
That
again,
doesn't
we're
make sense.
exploring this universe. Like, let's treat Krypton's destruction like the Holocaust. Like, it's something that you know is good people are sad about, and bad people deny it ever happened, or like make jokes about it, or like it's like
it would have been great actually.
you know, like Krypton destruction denial. That's like, you know, like that kind of stuff that builds out the universe is
That would have made more sense where he would be like, oh, I've heard of Superman. Like, Kryptonians are crazy. Like, that's why I got this kryptonite.
Right.
Because, like, I still think they're out there somewhere.
Also, again,
Like,
if you want to play this kind of like misogynist sexism thing, it's like, you know, have people make fun of her as like, oh, you're the girl version of Superman. Like, because they can do that. Like, you live in a universe where you can do that. And, you know, like, it's so anyway. All right, okay.
But yeah, basically,
so
I would just say go and read the original comic, because I feel like at its core, yes, it's also a true grit story, but it's also just kind of a space road trip story that like fleshes out a world and gives a whole like expanded universe. Like,
so are you
these
saying,
characters to be
Nathan,
seen
that
in the movie doesn't lean into that?
In conclusion, the book was better?
Well, yes, indubitably, I do say the book was better.
All right.
Now
so
that
Raymond,
we've
tell us
gone
about
through that and we've concluded,
James Gunn's DC universe, yes.
Yes. So I'm worried, guys. Like, I think that with the merger happening and these box office stuff, I'm worried about this universe. And I think one of the big issues, and I think I don't blame James Gunn. Like I truly don't. I think he was dealt like a very bad hand, where it was like, oh, you made like two of the most popular things in our universe. Here, have the whole control
All
over
of it.
every single character, every single important character in our universe. And James Gunn is like, but I like Peacemaker and the Creature Commandos. Like,
I like the weird ones. Give me the creatures. Give me the weird ones.
I like the weird ones. Why am I in charge of all of this? So and don't get me wrong, I think he did a fantastic job with Superman. That was like, and again, we even ended up when we reviewed the movie, we were like, yeah, this was really good. It was just hold back a little bit because James Gunn is like delving into a new space of trying to be more wholesome, like, where it's like that is
James Gunn.
It's like, yeah, he's still a good filmmaker. It's just this is not his forte.
Yeah, and there's so many characters that strive that line, and I think that the thing with James Gunn is that he is a comic book fan to the point where he understands that he can't just insert his like weirdness to every character. Like he can't insert his like, because it only works for very specific characters within that universe that actually make sense with his style.
Or in other
Like,
words, the characters people don't care that much about.
Exactly, because that's what James Gunn does the best, like the underdog story, the like the broken down person who nobody cares about. That's the kind of story that he's the best
outcast,
at doing.
The broken in need of redemption.
Yeah, literally, he's literally the only reason why people know Guardians of the Galaxy exist.
Yeah. Again,
like
Guardians of the Galaxy,
every...
Suicide Squad, and Peacemaker are masterpieces, and that's what he does really well.
Yep.
I mean, and like I don't know. I think Super is in like Super.
Super,
he
yes.
also did Super.
Now,
Super is such a
Slither is really good too. And
yeah,
that's a
like
horror.
I think. I haven't seen Slither. I have to
and that's where he has like his one of his most like aw shucks good guy protagonists, but he also focuses on the horror more than he does on developing those characters. So he's very much the guy is very Rick Flag Jr. For that. Yeah. So you're worried about the future of this.
Yes. And I think James Gunn made a terrible decision when it comes to the lineup of his movies he wanted to focus on. I was all in for Peacemaker. I was all in for Creature Commando. Really love those. Really cool. But we all knew that the introduction to this universe was that first Superman movie. That did good. And it had that it had that I'm a pump rocker, yes I am. That was a hit for like, and that like, because it made you feel something. And that movie was wow. Okay, like that I left the theater with that feeling of hope and all this stuff. Again, this movie left the theater, didn't feel anything but going like, yeah, cool story. Cool story.
Yeah.
Not the best story ever told. And that's not good. That's not good because this had to be, it had to be because the Marvel Universe, and I think DC has failed twice at trying to do this. The Marvel Universe was smart in its conception because it took these specific characters that they could tell stories of. And they were, like, technically part of the Avengers. Like, because Iron Man wasn't that much of a popular character within the Avengers, but he was part of the Avengers. He was part of that team. And they gave us a progression of introducing all the characters from the Avengers, except for Hank Pym for some reason. That was weird. But because they gave all that to Tony Stark. Again, for some reason.
Yeah.
Who knows why. Like I think it's the thing of like, oh, two smart characters, you can't write that on a story. I'm like, dude, like just grow up. Like like filmmakers need to grow up. Like, yes, you can have multiple characters that have the same power or ability, but use it differently. They can have opposite personalities. They can be completely different people that have the same power or same ability. That's stupid.
There's a smart guy erasure.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I think that I mean, for crying out loud, they had Bruce Banner do like
Thanks,
a AI. Like Bruce Banner is not like a freaking like roboticist. Like he's a
He does radiation. Damn it.
Radiation. Anyways, I think that that what they did was like build up to the Avengers, and when the DC Universe, the original one, started, they were trying to do that
Way too fast.
but way too fast. Exactly. And James Gunn came out of that and went like, well, they did it too fast, so that and it flunked. I'll do it slower. And I'm like, although I appreciated James Gunn, I think your movie lineup should have been building up to the Justice League. Mm-hmm. And we are not getting that. At least not a recognizable Justice League. I think that's should have been the focus. I think they should have done. I understand not wanting to do Wonder Woman again, so because the Wonder Woman movie was very well received, but I think the second one was so bad that I think people would have been okay with a new Wonder Woman being introduced and done way better than before. I think Wonder Woman would have been better than introducing Supergirl right now. Why? Two things. Supergirl is a supporting character. Mm-hmm. I think she's better if she does supporting stuff in the Superman movies. I think it's better if she does a supporting role, and this would have been a good series like Peacemaker. I think this would have been better if it was a series, more time for development, more time for concepts to be introduced, all this stuff.
Making an actual space road trip.
Yes, correct. I would have made Green Lanterns a movie instead of a show. Like, I think it's
Supergirl be
kind of dumb to make
True Detective in space and Green Lanterns be an actual movie. Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it doesn't make sense for it. Nobody's excited about the show.
No.
Like, everybody's like, kind of like, like, and if, and the problem I have is that studios are not going to give a crap about the shows. Like, they're going to just think about the box office and that's it. They don't care about the shows. They don't care about the streaming of the show. They care about the box office and the fact that the general audience is watching the movies. That's how they make money. That is how it works. And James, to these decisions of what gets a show and what gets a movie, it's weird. And also, I understand that I love James Gunn for wanting to focus on the animated world. Thank you. Yes, awesome. I'm an animation fan. But most of people still think that animation is for children. And, like, nobody's going to be excited about him either. Like, for crying out loud, most people did not see Creature Commandos as part of this universe at all because it was animated. Like, they didn't even, like, consider it. Like, and I'm like, it's like, because animation is still not, it is getting there. It is getting towards the respect it deserves. We are getting there. Little by little, like Spider-Verse did, like, numbers and giving so much respect to animation.
Spider-Verse,
but we're still not there yet.
For
like we're progressing, but we're not
than almost anything I've seen. Yeah. In terms of getting people to say, "Oh, okay, this is real movie, not animated movie, not just for kids."
Exactly.
Yeah.
So like I
hear what you're saying. Go ahead, finish. Yeah, sorry.
No, I think that I do, even though I understand where James Gunn is coming from, because, hey, all the stuff like that he's focusing on seems interesting to me, a comic book nerd and someone who's like into animation. That like we're getting like a Joker series, animated anime Joker series. That's incredible. Like I'm all in for that. Awesome. That we're getting like all these like little animated projects about different things. Like I'm all in for that. Like
that's all great, but like Joe said, you also got to think about the normies.
Exactly. And I think that that's a huge it's a huge problem with what James Gunn is doing, because although he's still trying to cater towards them by keeping like the Batman alive, which was like well received with normies, like I think that even that is kind of like a little bit kind of loosey goosey with our focus, because I'm like, instead of doing that, let's just actually bring on the Batman from your universe. Come on, let's do it like now, so that people are actually people care, because Batman is like your main, like he should be your main selling point after Superman. It should be Batman. And the fact, again, I think that people know about Robin now. And the fact bringing Batman and Robin and the Robins all together. I mean, like Red Hood is so popular right now. Like it's like Red Hood is like as popular as Deadpool was like in the 2010s era. So it's like I think Red Hood is so popular right now. It is still very popular, and people know who that is. Like they don't know who Jason Todd is, but you say Red Hood, they know who Red Hood is. Like, so it's like Batman, the Robins, Nightwing, all this stuff. People, the normies are ready to see those things. Like, give it to them.
It's funny. So also it seems like what's happening is like talking about like My Adventures with Superman and how we're thinking that like people, they don't have rights to certain characters and can't use them. They're almost in a similar situation here. They had the rights. It's just more like they don't want to do them again because they just did it. Like we can't do a Batman movie this soon again. We can't do a Wonder Woman movie this again as soon. So I guess we'll do Supergirl now instead.
So I think that, you know, what I'm hearing you say, and I generally agree with you, Ray, is that what made the Marvel Universe work is that they made movies about superheroes that made people not only want to see movies about those superheroes, but see movies about the next superhero that wasn't that same superhero. So
yes,
people would see Iron Man and they would make them not just want to see the next Iron Man, but want to see Thor or want to see Ant-Man. And because they love the Avengers, they would see Guardians of the Galaxy. And that was,
yes,
I hesitate to say, but I think it's accurate to say, unique thing that has not happened in movie franchises before. And I think that what James Gunn's DC Universe needs to do is it
happened. By the way, but it happened a lot in TV. Like TV has done that for years, but it was with spin-offs and stuff like that. But it was to put it into movies.
No, you have
like
the Law and Order universe, the Chicago, universe, and things like that. Yes, absolutely. That's been a. So the thing is, what James Gunn's DCU needs to do is it needs to do that. It needs for it to be a viable universe, viable franchise in the way it's trying to be. It has to be something where you watch Superman, it makes you want to watch, Supergirl. It makes you want to watch Lanterns. It makes you want to watch this other thing. And James, like you said, James Gunn looked at the mistakes of the DCEU, which basically tried to say it's all one TV show. It's not TV show and spin-offs. It's all one TV show. And said, we can't do that. We can't force that. We can't, force spin-offs in season 1. And his answer to that, and it's also some of the failures of the Marvel Universe, because the Marvel Universe sometimes pushed that too hard and coasted on that to the degree that the individual project failed. And so
he also didn't want to be the modern MCU.
Right.
He didn't want to be the modern MCU, which has failed to capture its own success because they are not as confident in the new characters that they're trying to push forward.
Like the OG MCU was lightning in a bottle almost.
Yeah.
Yes, and it's like, but again, it's because they're not trying. Like they're truly not trying at all. They think that because we are MCU, we can do whatever we want, and everybody's gonna go want to watch it. But it's like
you have to earn it every
single
time. You have to earn it every single time. Particularly, when there is, I hesitate to use the word superhero fatigue, but we've lost essentially superhero halo effect, where people will kind of let you get away with things they wouldn't let you get away with other genres because they love the genre so much. We're not in that era anymore.
That's a good way to put that.
Yeah.
That's such a good way to put it, Joseph. Because
that's way more accurate.
I don't think there is a superhero fatigue because people are excited for the new Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And that movie's going to be great.
There's not Spider-Man fatigue. There's no Spider-Man fatigue.
Yes. Yeah, like...
It's just everyone's standards are higher just because there's so much more superhero content now.
No, and not only that, everybody knows that with Spider-Man, there's so much at stake. Yeah. It like Sony knows it.
Yeah.
They've learned from the mistakes over and over. And they know
I love all these
have
stories
to like get
Tom Holland being like, I was on a Christopher Nolan movie, and then I went to back to Spider-Man. And I said, you can't make movies like this anymore. You have to make movies like Christopher Nolan does. And basically throwing his weight around and saying, like, we're going to make a good movie this time. And it's like, good for you, Tom Holland.
Tom Holland, I've always said he's the best Peter Parker, and he truly, like, because we know that Sony... We know that he actually does hold a lot of power.
Oh yeah,
because
and
we do.
If the new movie is good, it's going to at least 40% of it is going to be because he threw his weight around, and I love that.
Because not only that, like there is in this movie there are reference to the legit just straight up comic books. There are references to internet memes. So he not only went to comic books, he went to internet memes and tried to get that again. But it's I think that the most incredible thing about it to me is that we know he has this power because he was the one when if you make it so that the Spider-Man and the MCU are not connected anymore, I'm leaving. I'm quitting. Yeah. And it's and that's the only reason why that contract kept going. He was no, I'm only sticking around if I am still part of the MCU. And for this movie to come out and for all the delays that happen and for it to be no, this is all the stunts are real. This is happening in location. That is basically all he learned from the Odyssey. And by the way, guys, the Odyssey was amazing.
Nice.
I liked it. I did like it.
It's 3 hours long, right? Man, I need to take so many bathroom breaks ahead of time.
Here's the thing. It doesn't feel like 3 hours.
I'm sure story-wise it won't be like that, but bladder-wise it'll probably feel like that for me.
Yes. I need an intermission, man. Here, but I will feel it down here.
I think that movies need to introduce theater breaks.
Yes.
If they're 3 hours long.
I'm not against going back to intermissions. We used to have them in our movies. It's but anyway.
Bring them back. I might actually buy theater snacks again. Sorry, go ahead.
But I think with anyways, just focusing. I think that the Marvel universe brought this very, very interesting thing to do, and I think James Gunn, like you were saying, Joseph, didn't want to do either the new MCU stuff of pushing to have this movie setting up for this movie and this movie setting up for this movie, but he also didn't want to. He also wanted to have a connected universe that built up to the Justice League, but he wanted to do it slower.
Yes. The thing is, and this is the thing, is that James Gunn's style, because he's not overtly telling people, here's where we're going, here's what you should be excited about, what he really relies on is each project individually making people excited about the next. Exactly. And that's why Supergirl is so damaging. And I would say, like, Superman didn't do everything it needed to do, because it did sell people on, I like these casting of the Superman and people like that, and I like the vibe, I like the world generally, is like, so like, it did. But Supergirl did not convince people that they should be excited about the next thing that's happening.
Exactly.
Hell, there wasn't even a teaser for the next thing, which also surprised me.
And also, it was itself underwhelming enough and felt like it wrapped up Supergirl's story. So I'm kind of like, I don't feel like I need to watch the next thing to know what is going on with Supergirl. And so to say is that each individual thing has to be, wow, that was so cool, I can't wait for the next thing, because we don't have any kind of roadmap. And the roadmaps he does give us, are like, I don't keep changing every year and don't keep happening. So I think that where James Gunn's DCU is right now for me is it's not on life support, but it is kind of a case-by-case basis thing, where it's like, how does this next project do? And every next project, how it's received is so important. And I think this is why he announced Man of Tomorrow so quickly, because he has to keep the goodwill going that people do have of the Superman universe and say, yes, be excited that we're bringing Brainiac in. Be excited that Lex Luthor power suit, you're going to be seeing that.
Yes.
Get excited about those things.
Is Brainiac confirmed?
Yes, it's confirmed.
Okay.
Nice.
Here's my problem with that. If it is confirmed, where the heck was he in this movie? This would have been the perfect moment to introduce Brainiac.
I agree with that.
If Brainiac was introduced in this movie, people would be excited about the next thing coming.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's true.
Because that's what Thanos was.
Yep.
That's what Thanos was. Well, because people were not as Thor wasn't that like big. People liked more Iron Man and Captain America.
Yeah.
But the reason why people went and watched Thor and they were excited for the next thing happening is because they teased that had the biggest tease for Thanos.
Yeah.
That movie had one of the biggest tease for Thanos.
And that's the thing. And do you know how easy it would have been to tease Brainiac in an outer space movie? Again, we talked about the Krypton destruction deniers. Have somebody talk about a rumor of that Kandor is in a bottle inside a monster called Brainiac. Have that be a rumor that's going around.
Yep.
And
what I would have done was we think it's dead, we think it's destroyed like Supergirl, and at the end where she's reunites with Superman or whatever the heck, credits like pop credits,
post
and boom, post credit. We see the bubble. We see an illuminating green. Take that. What an interesting catch from my collection.
Well, that's the thing is if you set that up in there as a rumor in the regular story, and then you have that as the tease, then again, even the normies know what you're talking about, even if they don't.
Like that would have made things so much more interesting. Again, it would have been like Thor, okay movie, but people would have gotten hyped because it at least succeeded.
Because at the end of Dark World, in the credit, it's like, oh, the Infinity Stones. Suddenly, every single person knows where we're going, because the nerds know. And then the normies are like, what's Infinity Stones? They go online and they're like, oh, here's a whole thing. And that's
Brainiac.
Because again, we've never seen Brainiac before in a feature film
screen.
Superman, a feature Superman film. Never.
Yeah.
He's one of the
it feels like this movie just failed on.
Here's the thing. Brainiac is so popular, people know what it is. Like it has never been in a movie,
and yet normies
it
know
has
who he
never
is.
been in a movie, and yet people know who he is. Like, that is insane for him to only appear in comics and animated series, and for people who that don't even know what
Casually
it
know
is use the
Superman.
term
Yeah.
use the term Brainiac to reference the Brainiac Superman.
Mm-hmm.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. And
Mhm.
it's like, I like for James Gunn to miss such a huge opportunity in this movie.
Yeah,
Do
the
what
movie
you said,
basically failed
Joseph.
on two fronts, both on its own merit as a movie and also just setting up the roadmap for the future.
Yeah.
I think it would have been so smart, because I bet you that this happens plays completely into
I would be
what's
shocked if it
what's
didn't.
gonna happen, what's gonna be revealed with Brainiac.
But here's the thing. And here's
So
why I'm going to be optimistic about James Gunn's universe. And this is the reason I'm optimistic about James Gunn's universe in some form is because I think Man of Tomorrow is going to work. And I think it's going to work for normie audiences. And I think it's going to work for fanboys. I think it's going to work for fanboys because it's going to have all of the trinkets.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's going to have, again, you said to Nathan, I'm like, you know, a kid on Santa's lap saying, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. I think we're going to get all that. And so the nerds are going to be, I mean, maybe not everything that, you know, again, it's somebody said, like, did this thing where it's like, what was it? Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, if everybody got what they wanted. It was just like the whole thing was just filled with, like, you know, random cameos of people not even in the Marvel movies, like Luke Skywalker there. Like like, you know, so we're not all good, but you know what I mean.
I'm not gonna go that far.
But you know what I mean. It's like he's gonna do that. Like that's gonna be, and the normies are gonna like it because I think James Gunn is going to lean a bit more into his James Gunn-ness in this one. Again, partly because, as we discussed last time, he's established Superman. He's gotten more comfortable with this world.
He's hitting
and
his
everything
stride.
like that. But also because I think that this version is going to lean into a little bit more of what James Gunn is better at. Because, as he has emphasized, this is a Superman and Lex Luthor movie. It's not just a Superman movie. And so we know
he's gonna focus on Lex Luthor.
We know that James Gunn, again, is really good at writing likable, broken, and problematic protagonists. Again, I will say his Lex Luthor dialogue in Peacemaker was amazing. It, like, at least 20% better than the Lex Luthor dialogue in Superman. You know, and where he does his good guy protagonists well are when they are foils for his bad guy protagonist.
Yes.
And so,
like
this
Rick
is
Flag in Bloodsport.
And so you're going to have Superman playing Rick Flag, essentially playing dad to a whole bunch of problematic people, including Lex Luthor. And so I think that...
We kind of lost you there, Joseph.
So I think that we're going to get, essentially, if Superman was James Gunn's Iron Man, I think Man of Tomorrow is going to be James Gunn's Avengers. And I think that that's going to sell people on this piece of the universe. I still think if he doesn't get enough, like, if Lanterns doesn't work, if, like, a couple other projects doesn't work, the crossover of you have a whole universe that people are invested in, I still think he needs a couple more of those. But I think that if he's able to land a couple more of those and Man of Tomorrow works, and particularly, again, if he brings in some of these other people like Lobo, like Supergirl, like these that shows, hey, and Peacemaker that have
bring Creature Commando characters.
Exactly, Creature Commando characters. It's like, I think that he can pull it off, but what I think James Gunn needs to do, because there's this, and this would be my pitch to James Gunn, is we know today that the new movie stars and the new franchises are actually not movie stars or franchises, they're directors. And so what James Gunn needs to do is focus on telling people, hey, pitch me your dream DC property. You have to
Yes.
let us use that character, whatever version of that character that you use that character in a team up property later. Don't be like
Yes.
Matt Reeves, But
Yes.
other than that, as long as we like your pitch, we're going to let you do your thing with it and be your auteur self.
Tell us what you're passionate about.
So people will go to see the individual movie because they
Yes.
love the director and want to see their auteur project. And then they will be excited to see that character in the team-up movie that James Gunn directs or whatever, something like that. And I think that that's the way forward for the DCU to do what James Gunn wants to differentiate it, while also, while also doing the thing that we've discussed, which is making people excited about the next project.
I think okay, here's the thing. That's what kind of James Gunn wanted in the first place. Like he like prefaced it like a lot. He was like, we are trying to focus on good scripts and good stories. And I want to give a platform to good stories for them to be told in this superhero genre.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's why we're like with the Clayface stuff.
Right.
Like I was like, okay, yeah, that it's a great example of like something where he's like, that's a good script. Go ahead, tell that story. It's in this universe now. Again, and the trailer just came out. It looks incredible. I want to watch it. I just know that not a lot of people are gonna enjoy this. It's going to be like the Sony movies. Like it's gonna be like your Venom. It's gonna be like your Craven. It's gonna be like why? Because like even if it's a good script, even if it's a good story, people don't care about Clayface. Like who cares about Clayface? People care about Penguin. That's why like when that was announced, people were like, yeah, like people care about Penguin. People care about like Enigma. People care about what's Mr. Freeze. But Clayface? That's such an odd thing. Again, I think it's the problem here is with the placement of these ideas. This would have been Supergirl, good movie for like, the third in the road.
Phase 3, yeah.
Fourth. Yeah, like Clayface for the phase 3, but for the phase 1 of the world where you're trying to build up to what you're saying, which is the Avengers movie, like it is a weird lineup.
So here's my agreement and pushback. I agree.
Mm-hmm.
You should, when I say give auteur directors the chance to do their thing, I think that he should be saying, hey, every director out there who has a vision or wants to do something, pitch me a Wonder Woman, pitch me a Flash, pitch me a Lanterns, I want you to pitch me these kinds of properties, not phase 3 properties, phase 1. Mostly. Again, it's like we're mostly going to do this. We can do a Clayface, we can do a Supergirl, but we're mostly going to be doing phase 1 properties. I agree with that. However, I still think, yes, if Clayface is Joker, not Morbius, and then they had Clayface in Man of Tomorrow, that would create excitement because there would be hype around that character. And then people would be like,
again, we run into the super My Adventures with Superman problem. Why is Clayface Batman villain in a Superman movie?
No, which is fair, but I'm also saying, like, again, if you're using Superman as your team up movie, again, why is Hawkgirl and Green Lantern in the Superman movie? It's the problem.
I mean, Justice League,
right?
Sure,
right.
But again, that's the justification. So my thing is that if you do create characters and then people respond to them, then putting up in the team up movies that make them a part of your universe, you can start to do that kind of cascading thing. Because again, that's why they originally with the Avengers, it was like, okay, we're going to create these characters. People responded to Guardians of the Galaxy. Okay, they're in the next Avengers. Okay, people responded, to these. Okay, they're in the next thing. This kind of the reason that people would watch Ant-Man is because they knew Ant-Man was going to be in Avengers and knew that he was going to come full circle in that way. And so I think that that way forward of James Gunn was correct, I think, to lean into directors as franchises and draws to individual projects was good. I think the two problems are, again, like you said, he's been doing phase 3 projects where he needs to do phase 1 projects. Now, I think he's also correct that he has to be judicious about it because there is a certain amount of, we just saw the Flash, we can't do the Flash again. Although I think that, if I was James Gunn, I would have said, okay, we're going to do Flash again, and we're going to cast the CW Flash as Flash in this. I think,
yes, that would have sold. That would have sold.
Also,
that
also you don't even necessarily
the amounts of
need
petitions.
don't necessarily need to do a solo Flash movie in order to bring this Flash into the DCU, because it's just like, okay, everybody knows who this Flash is. He's now on the Justice League. Deal with it because we love him.
Yeah.
There's a certain degree, but I think that but my point is, some characters maybe you say, okay, you have to wait a little while for them, but you still, okay, I think Lanterns is a good idea because it's been a long enough time now and people didn't like that movie. So to say, okay, no, we're going to do a good Green Lantern now, you can do that in your new phase. I think that's a good decision. I think you may be right that TV is not the right decision for it. Should have been a movie, but I think those characters are good ones to do. So I'll say is, I think that there has to be some judiciousness in the phase 1-ness of this, but he should be doing phase 1, not phase 3 things. But I think also the bigger thing is he's giving this to auteur directors, and the movies being bad is the biggest problem. Or again, let's say, so that we have consensus here, I'll say Supergirl is bad. The rest of you could say underwhelming, perhaps. Is like Craig Gillespie should have been, again, he did I, Tonya, which is this dark comedy, anti-hero female protagonist. It's like, okay, like that's what we're doing here, is like that could be what you're doing, and like that could be good. But this didn't work in that way, and that's the bigger problem, is if he does these directors auteur things and they're not good, then it doesn't work.
Like, let the auteur directors be auteur directors as opposed to having them be auteur directors forced to fit in the mold of a bigger franchise.
I think there had to be either some miscommunication or some tampering from studio. This doesn't make any sense, and I'm gonna tell you why.
Tell me
we
why.
had a good director, we had a good comic story, and we had a good setup in the Superman movie, and a great cast. What happened in between? Legitimately, what happened in between that? Because
it boggles them up.
That's odd. It is odd because and we talked about it when we were done with Superman. We said, like, wow, this is going to be great because this Supergirl is going to play completely into James Gunn's kind of vibe completely, where it's like, this is going to be our redemption character, like finding to become a hero and whatever. Like that's going to be the character. This movie is going to be incredible.
Yeah.
Like this Superman movie was, wow, this is nice. But that Supergirl movie,
I was expecting Supergirl to be like 5 stars. I was genuinely.
No. Like, I was expecting this movie to make me feel even more. Like, I was expecting,
like, dunk.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, it's so weird. Like, it's like, and like, when you guys came out from the theater and Joseph said what he said, I legitimately was so sad. Like, because I was like there was so much potential here
Mm-hmm.
And for it to be wasted like this, it just doesn't make sense. And that's why, like, I wish I could talk to anyone who, like, is involved in this, because, like, I wish I could talk directly to James Gunn, because, like, even, like, the press tours, like, they're not honest, like, right now, because, like, they'll be honest, like, in a couple of years, right?
Yeah,
Like,
there's
James
gonna be
Gunn will,
some article that comes out 3 years from now that like puts the
yeah,
blame on some producer or something.
exactly. But right now they're not, because, you know, they have to sell the movie.
Mhm.
And we're not going to get, like, what happened, like, in this process right now. But it's like there has to be some tampering by somebody, or some miscommunication here, because,
I
like,
agree.
this,
And that's what I came out of the movie with Nathan saying, which is, you know that phrase, I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed? I'm not disappointed, I'm baffled.
Mm.
yeah. Yes, because again,
like you said, everything about it should have worked. Like you said, great material, great setup, great actors, great, like, you know, it's like it had all the pieces. A director who, again, I haven't seen everything he's done, and I, Tonya was good. I didn't think it was great, but it was good. It was a good movie, like, you know, and it's like everything about it should have worked, and it didn't. And why in the world could they have messed it up? In to this degree is baffling. So I agree with you. In the future, there will be interviews that explain what's going on. And we've already gotten a few things, like there were test audience problems with it, scared some people, but like the things that have come out about the test screenings don't feel like they explain everything about it. So yeah, but I think that the bottom line is that whatever went wrong is damaging to the future of the DCU, because in order for James Gunn's style to work, each project has to make you excited about the next one on its own merits. And without the superhero halo effect, that's more important than ever.
Yeah, they cannot afford to do something like this again.
Yes.
Now, people have suggested,
to be like
maybe
Joker. Like,
yeah, absolutely, it needs to be like Joker. It's, you know, but I will say this: if they can pull it out from here, people are already saying Supergirl is the DCU's Incredible Hulk, which is not quite fair, because Incredible Hulk was a better movie, but it still was a movie that when people were like, it didn't make people super vibed for the next one. It was, you know, so that could be where, if they can pull off their next ones. If Clayface is great, if Man of Tomorrow is great, and they get, you know, they get their, you know, their feet out of their butts for the, you know, to actually have some upcoming projects that people get excited about, this can turn around.
I also hope that the upcoming merger doesn't mess with any upcoming projects, but I guess we'll see.
I'm sure that's not holding up any announcements at all.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. I think I'm worried about the fact that Man of Tomorrow is going to be our last movie in this world, and that is going to be really sad, because I think we were all excited about this whole thing, and at least we're going to end with one of our favorite heroes, Superman, you know, as the closing of the chapter.
If that's the end,
but
it will probably to me be a
to
high
argue
note, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to say this, and this is just my theory. I think this movie was just going to be straight up an R-rated movie. I think I think there's a big possibility that this movie was going to be straight up R-rated. They were going to go all out on the plot, on the actual story of all the stuff. And then they were like, no, you got to tone it down. Little girls are going to go see this movie.
Could be.
Because that's the only thing right now, in my head at least, that makes the most sense. Like, taking everything into consideration that we've discussed and talked about.
I will say
because
one
the subject
other
matter
thing that
in this.
I think that there's one other possibility that may be a little bit more plausible, because it's tricky to me to imagine that Craig Gillespie would be able to get away with pitching an R-rated Supergirl in the first place. That's kind of a little bit, or like, again, at the script level that would have to be approved, at the shooting level that would have to be approved. It just seems like that would get handled by corporate a lot earlier. One thing that is a bit more plausible to me, but is sort of what you're getting at, it was going to be a lot more political. It was going to be a lot more feminist. It was going to be a lot more woke, and because of reasons, they chickened out on that. And because that is what apparently I've heard credibly happened with Captain America, Brave New World. That it was that was, I mean, credibly. It seems persuasive to me based on everything I know. But
that makes
I could.
No, I think you're right, because this does feel like an editing bay movie, where
like
it's
the movie
like,
felt like it was missing an ending, like it just got straight up cut out.
Yes,
missing an ending, a beginning, a middle.
this truly feels like the Justice League effect of the movies.
Actually, that's the closest experience I think I've had is Justice League and Captain America: Brave New World.
Because there's a truly,
and Suicide Squad. Like the first Suicide Squad.
Yes.
It feels like that.
Yes, actually, yes. That actually is really, like, true. Because, like, now that we've, like, completely discussed everything, like, that makes so much more sense, Joseph. I think, like, it's not that it was going to be R-rated, is that they made the movie, they finished it, like, the first couple of audiences watched it, they didn't like it. They were like, oh my gosh, we got to clean it up. They cleaned it. It's not as good as the original vision.
Yeah, their cleaning was mostly just cutting everything out, and like they didn't really do much like trim the fat of like smooth everything over.
That's the thing, is that a lot of times in cutting, what happens is, and the reshooting and things like that, is the original movie is offensive and maybe offensive and people dislike it, but it has a clear vision. And when they cut things up and they reshoot it, nobody's offended by it, but it doesn't feel like there's a clear vision or reason for it to exist at all. And that feels
Show
like
us the full Supergirl cut. Give us the full cut.
It's like me trying. It's like me trying to remove Dr. Eggman from Sonic 3. Because I did that. I took the movie and I took out Dr. Eggman, and it was not great, but it was not great. But my vision, it was there was a lot missing. If I had the budget to actually reshoot some of the dialogue and stuff like that, it would have worked. But there was some missing things there. But
I have so many questions that I'm not sure I want answers to. but
basically, kids, you can't always fix things in post.
I just think that Dr. Eggman should have not been alive in the third movie. They could have brought him back in the fourth one. That's okay, but not in the third movie. I thought it was a bad idea. I thought it ruined the emotional. Like, it brought way too much levity to a movie that was meant to be like so much darker than any other thing that had come out from the Sonic world.
Tune in next time, kids, as we review all 3 Sonic the Hedgehog movies with Joe.
First of all, never. I will just say, completely disagree. I think Eggman's arc in that movie was the best part about it. If what would have fixed that movie is if they actually killed off human protagonist's dad, but that's a whole other thing. Now that I've offended everybody who cares about that sort of thing. All right. Any final?
I agree with you. I agree with you that Eggman's storyline is great. Not gonna lie, awesome. But you know what's gonna ruin it? The next movie where he's a villain again. So like no.
That's just time travel. That's fine. It's just like all right. Anything else that we need to delve into about this?
I think we covered all of it.
I think we're
good.
good.
Cool.
I think we're covered.
All right,
everything.
boys.
So now we just gotta
We-
finish,
we-
you know, my adventures with Superman.
We got like what, 4 more episodes or
Four
so?
episodes? Yeah.
Guys, that's what's coming up next. You've heard it here first. My adventure with Superman's gonna be coming up. Well, we'll probably do some other like little podcast episodes before that one, but like
Next one, I'm
Next
not
time
with
doing.
Joe
Joseph.
was back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not with Joseph, but that's what Joseph is gonna be a part of. Because we all know that you're only here for him.
The five people who show up for my episodes are here for me. The rest are the loyalists of you guys. And I gotta say,
You know,
I appreciate you guys that are the loyalists of this show. Like, you are awesome and you are better than other people.
that's
love
the
you.
funny part is that it is like a couple, like 10 more people watching. It's like, it's literally like there's like when you come on, there's just like 10 people who are like Joseph fans.
The Joe stands.
And you guys are the best people in the world. Yes. And the best taste, and I love you.
You know what, Joseph? I am gonna ask you this though, because they're your fans. Tell them to go watch your Jim versus the Future interview because none of them are doing it.
Hey guys,
Like, go-
listen to our interview of Jim versus the Future, where these guys delve a lot deeper than a lot of the other interviews about Jim versus the Future. A lot of my interviews where I did a bunch of these interviews.
Probably more than necessary, but we do it anyway, damn it, because no one else will.
Exactly. And again, where we just go into the real nerddom of the sci-fi side of it and the philosophy and all of those things and the filmmaking. So definitely go watch the episode where Jim versus the Future, and watch my movie Jim versus the Future, which is my feature film. And again, if you like how nerdy we get here, then again, it's basically take Overthinkers Joseph and mash it together with Infodump Brothers Joseph, and you have a pretty good idea of what Jim versus the Future would be like. So if you have as much good taste as I know you do, because you are watching this show, and particularly with me on it, then you definitely want to watch the Jim versus the Future episode of the Super Infodump Brothers. Here we go. How's that?
Go. Do it
Like-
right now.
Yeah, you have to go watch Jim versus the Future and then go and listen
It's
to the
free
podcast.
on Amazon,
So, yeah.
YouTube, and Tubi, so you have no excuse.
It is a great movie. Like,
Thank you.
it's really good. I enjoyed it. It is so nice to see like an indie production that goes deep into essentially like what is like these deep concepts of future, the future of our lives. What does it mean for us to like communicate with each other? How does that look like? And it's great. If you like Joseph, if you like Joseph in general, that movie, it literally screams Joseph Holmes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like it's him encapsulated in a sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
So it's like
Yep.
it's awesome. It's awesome. So check out and go look at stuff that we made before. Please comment, like, share, do all the YouTube stuff, do all the podcast stuff. Thank you so much for listening, and see you next time when we discuss how underutilized the Supergirl and My Adventures with Superman is, just like this one. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for watching.
Zing! Wahoo!